Hello and welcome back to the Nutrition and Life podcast. My name is Lisa, I'm your host, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Molly McNamee, founder of MFIT Workouts and co-author of Becoming an Unstoppable Woman in Health and Wellness. Molly specializes in exercise for anxiety and stress hormones. Molly, I'm super excited to talk to you today.
I am really excited to be here too. This is going to be so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't agree more. And I look forward to talking about all things stress related and how we can de-stress our lives to have a healthier life and just feel better. But before we do, I'd love to hear a little bit about you, how you got to where you are today, and what interested you in the topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you said, I'm the founder of MFIT Workouts, which is an online fitness platform where we do workouts and lifestyle coaching. And as a coach, I specialize in exercise for the nervous system and the body's stress hormones. And the reason I'm so passionate about that is because 5 or 6 years ago, I really reached rock bottom with my own health, both my mental health and my physical health. So at that time, my anxiety was out of control. I was having several panic attacks every single day, and I didn't know why. It wasn't like my life was anxiety inducing at the time. I just always felt anxious. So that was tough. And then I was also dealing with some pretty severe bloating and insomnia. I was struggling to fall asleep and stay asleep. And then just the cherry on top of all of that was that my weight was completely unpredictable. So I could gain 20, 30 pounds in a month without changing anything about my diet or my exercise or my lifestyle. And yeah, that was very confusing to me because I've been working in the fitness industry for over a decade. So at that time, I was a fitness coach. I was exercising a lot. I was eating ridiculously healthy. So it really did not make sense to me why I was having such a difficult time even maintaining my weight and my strength and my body. So all of those problems kind of got worse and worse over the course of a few years until, like I said, I reached rock bottom and I just needed to know what was going on. And that's when I discovered that the reason I was experiencing all of that is because my stress hormones were imbalanced. And my workout routine and my lifestyle was actually making that worse. So all of the things that I was doing that I thought were really good for me were actually making it harder for me to look and feel the way that I wanted to. So then once I realized that, I kind of went into Detective Molly mode and I was like, well, why did this happen? How do we fix it? How do we prevent it? And I created this new methodology that helped me heal my body. And now I'm sharing it with the world because I do not want anyone else to have to experience what I did. And I know that stress is a big conversation for a lot of people. And we know that stress is quote unquote bad and we should remove some of the stress from our life. But people still really don't understand how much the nervous system impacts how you look and how you feel. Like we all know, oh, I shouldn't be stressed, but then we're also all confused why we're not losing weight and why we're not sleeping and all of this stuff. And the nervous system is such a big part of that conversation. So I'm excited to chat with you because I feel like we'll clear some things up for people.
Well, I have absolutely no doubt about that. And I mean, some of what you said also resonates with me. I have in the past done a more high stress sort of workout routine with CrossFit. And then on top of that not sleeping because I was doing shift work at the time. So some things definitely resonated there. I was really shocked almost when you said that your weight fluctuated like 20, 30 pounds. I was expecting like 5 or maybe 10, but I mean, for someone, and those of you listening, like Molly is a small, petite individual by the looks of it. So
I'm very short.
20, 30 pounds, that is a lot on your frame. And yeah, I would love to hear what you have to say to people that feel like stress is preventing them from losing the weight. Like, how does cortisol directly or indirectly prevent us from losing weight?
Yeah, well, just stress is so interesting. I feel like over the last few years, I've learned so much about stress and the nervous system and cortisol and all of that stuff. And I feel like the biggest thing I learned is just what stress does to your body. So our bodies are really amazing. They have this whole system in place that's there to protect you, and that's a good thing. So when you are stressed and when you are chronically stressed, your body kind of goes into survival mode. So it's going to slow down your metabolism because your body thinks I need to conserve as much energy as I can because we're unsafe. Your body is not going to be able to digest food properly because it doesn't think you have time to. You're not going to be able to sleep because because it doesn't think it's safe to. And your body is just going to cling to body fat because it thinks it needs everything that it has to protect it. So when you are living in a chronically stressed out state, your body is literally working against you trying to lose weight because your body is saying, we need all of this to stay safe. So you're not going to be able to lose weight. You're not going to be able to lose body fat. And you may start putting on weight and start putting on body fat because your body is just trying to keep as much on you as it can to keep you safe. And I know that that can maybe sound discouraging to people because they're like, well, my life is stressful. And that's definitely a conversation that I have with my clients all the time, where it's, the goal isn't to remove all stress from your life. It's just learning how to manage that stress better so that your body isn't then reacting in this negative way. So that is what I experienced firsthand, where it was just, there was so much stress in my body that it wasn't going to build the muscle or lose the body fat that I wanted it to do. And it just started storing all of this weight. And I would find myself like doing all of the same workouts, but feeling really weak and feeling really slow and feeling really sluggish. So I think in part my weight gain and weight fluctuations at the time were due to me not being able to give my all in my workouts and probably some gut issues that I didn't really know I was experiencing as well. But yeah, my weight was all over the place at the time, and it was completely due to stress because I wasn't doing anything crazy like, eating gallons of ice cream every night. It was just like I was just gaining weight.
That is so, so interesting. And I do want to say that for people, I mean, generally speaking, I do think that cortisol has also gained a little bit of a negative connotation in some aspects. So to the people that don't exercise at all or, have a very low stress life, there is, generally speaking, cortisol is something good. It also helps us adapt and become better and so on. But I think the people that we're speaking to here or that you're speaking to here are the people that are always go, 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 working out too much, eating too little or the wrong things, and just having like a high stress load that they hardly ever come down from. So for example, because I do love giving people some practical takeaways, maybe you can share what your training consisted of at the time, or also what you do with your clients now with your MFIT workout so that people still see results, but not adding extra stress to their body.
Yeah. So I always say that we all have our own, like we all need something unique, right? There isn't one prescription that's going to work for everyone because we are all starting at one certain stress base level. But if you are someone who is perhaps experiencing hormonal imbalances, you're going through menopause, you have high functioning anxiety, something like that that's really disrupting your nervous system, how I was working out previously was I was doing high intensity cardio workouts every day. I was lifting the heaviest weights I possibly could. And probably in total, I was working out 2 to 3 hours a day because my job was fitness and I wanted to look a certain way. And then my body wasn't responding to my workout. So I just worked out more. And I find that that is something a lot of people end up doing. Like their diet or their workout routine isn't working for them. So then they cut calories more and then they exercise more. And then that's just throwing off your nervous system and your hormones even more. So what I was previously doing was very extreme workouts, very long workouts. And then what I shifted into was a more low impact approach to cardio and a more moderate intensity to my strength training. So instead of trying to push myself to my max for an hour or two every single day, I'm now working at a more moderate intensity for 30 minutes, 4 days a week. It is so much significantly less now. And a lot of times when I start working with people, they ask me, is this going to be enough? Like they think in their brain, this can't possibly be enough because I'm already trying to do the most and it's not working. But the reason the most is not working is because your body is stuck in this state of fight or flight and it's trying to protect you, and you're doing all of this stuff and your body's not responding to it because it's not going to. Your body just wants to stay safe. So taking that step back can really be the game changer that people need to then have their body feel safe enough to start losing body fat.
I love that recommendation. And yeah, I so have been there in the place where I was like, is this enough? Because I used to think unless I'm dripping of sweat and I feel like I completely destroyed my workout or my body as well for that matter, it was not going to be an effective workout. And so then switching to something more moderate intensity and like learning to feel the muscle instead of just aiming for that sweat and that exhaustion was such a game changer, but it was mentally tough. Like I won't lie, it probably took 3 to 6 months, if not longer, for me to learn to enjoy, quote unquote, enjoy those kind of workouts because my brain was telling me what you're doing is not enough. Like you need to be exhausted by the end of this, otherwise we're just wasting our time.
No, that is absolutely true. There is a big mindset shift because I don't know who started the rumor of you need to be gasping for air and drenched in sweat and dying on the ground after your workout for it to count. I don't know who made that up, but I wish they didn't because now we all think that way. We think if I'm not feeling like I worked myself the hardest I possibly could, then it didn't count. That's just not true. And if your body, if you do have hormonal imbalances, if you do have anxiety or some severe things happening with your nervous system right now, working out that way is just really fighting. Like it's the opposite of what your body needs right now. It's fighting what you need. So yeah, it's a big mindset shift. And that's a conversation I have with a lot of my clients where it's, you are used to doing the most and then it feels almost not good for a while doing less, but then you start to feel better. So it's a really trust the process type situation where you just got to go through it and you got to allow yourself to do less so that you can start to feel better and start to see more results that way. But it totally the opposite of what most of us think we should be feeling.
Yeah, I really wish I could like highlight this even just in the sense of our initial instinct or intuitive instinct would be I need to do more and like pulling away from that. So love that you said trust the process. And what I'm also curious about, because you mentioned earlier, like despite the fact that you were quote unquote eating so well and you didn't change anything about your diet, you had these huge weight fluctuations, or at least you weren't looking and dropping in the way that you wanted to or dropping the way that you wanted to. So I'm curious, what are your nutritional approaches now when you work with clients, but also how you more or less cured your own bloating, your digestive inflammation, and all these kinds of things. Like, what can we do in that aspect to lower the stress on our body?
Yeah, well, when your nervous system is dysregulated, that's going to impact your gut health and your food choices so much. So even though in my brain I was thinking I'm not doing anything wrong, I definitely probably was, like eating too little and not enough protein. Like you need that protein to help regulate your nervous system. But when you are in that stressed out state, it's almost you need to focus on the stress and the stress relief more than the food choices because when you are stressed, you are just going to crave sugary, fatty foods. That's just what you're going to crave. You're going to lean into stress eating because that is what your body is asking for right now. You're not going to be able to properly absorb nutrients because your body's not digesting things properly. So I was focusing on, I'm just going to eat a bunch of protein and nothing else when I was in that bad place. But my body wasn't absorbing the protein the way that I wanted it to because I was eating stressed out every day and my body wasn't absorbing that protein in the way that I needed it to. So none of it was working. So I honestly encourage all of my clients to focus on stress first before even like food choices. You need to get that stress out of your body while you're eating so that the eating can actually be effective. But the general rules that I give my clients with food is look at your plate. Can you see some produce? Can you see some protein? And that's a good place to start. Like look down, where's the protein? Where's the produce, meaning fruit or veg? And if you don't see that, go find it. And that's the first rule that I give all my clients. Just look for those two things. Keep it
That's
simple.
that's awesome. I love simple things. I love simple tips, and I mean that's easy to do no matter where you are. If you're eating out, if you're invited somewhere. Like, again, we're recording this just before Thanksgiving. Even there, like how do we start our meals? I also like. I mean, we're also busy. We're going through our lives. We're eating on the go and so on. I do think, and I'm sure you're working with strategies like that as well. Just encouraging people to like, hey, maybe don't eat at your desk. Take at least 2, 3 minutes to go outside, or if it's too cold, to go to a break room or somewhere else where you're taking a few deep breaths and then you're eating. Because I mean, it's called the rest and digest nervous system for a reason. So how are you expecting to rest and digest if you're totally switched on?
Yeah, a lot of what I talk to the people in my community about is really simple things. Like, what really simple things can you do to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is that rest and digest state? And it can be as simple as, can you sit and take 3 deep breaths before you pick up your fork? Could you maybe have a glass of water before you eat, even just something that's going to help your body calm down before you start eating? And these things can take seconds. They can take at most a minute. Like, it can be really simple things that you do throughout your day just to help your body start feeling more calm. And it's definitely important to do those things before you eat. So that is a big habit I encourage people to build. Just instead of diving right into mealtime, can you pause first and pause and just like relax for a minute, just chill.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're so like the concept seems so simple, but for some of us, in times it's really foreign, and we don't even catch ourselves in the middle of just like eating something while we're going. But I'm also speaking of habits, and that ties back to another thing that you mentioned, which I know is going to resonate with a lot of people listening. You said having issues falling asleep, or what I actually see more often is the issue of staying asleep. So many people waking up at 3, 4, 4:30, not being able to go back to sleep, or being awake for a couple of hours and then falling back to sleep. Why is that happening? I mean, the not falling asleep sometimes seems a little bit more obvious, too many thoughts or whatever going on. But the second one, I think, is sometimes a bit of a question mark for people. And what kind of habits, to tie it back to that, can people implement in order to sleep better?
Yeah, well, first, the why. So, our cortisol levels, which is one of our body's main stress hormone, it is supposed to fluctuate throughout the day. And ideally, your cortisol levels are highest in the morning around 8 to 10 a.m., and then they're lowest in the evening around midnight. So, it happens for a lot of people when they have a cortisol imbalance in their body that's often flipped. So their cortisol levels are higher at night and lower in the morning, and that's going to lead to you feeling tired all day long. Like, you always feel like you need a nap, but then when you lie down, you either feel wide awake or you fall asleep for a couple of hours, and then you wake up and you feel wide awake. And that's because it's your cortisol levels being like, oh, we're awake now. We're energized. It's time to do stuff. So it's just literally that thing in your body that's telling you when you should be sleeping and when you should be awake. It is completely flipped right now. So that's frustrating. I know. And then the way to fix that is to start creating balance with those stress hormones. And truly, a lot of people will say, oh, you need to like meditate for an hour a day. You need to journal. You need to do these big things. But it's truly like the 30-second things that you do in your day that are going to help start to improve that. So if sleep in particular is a thing you are struggling with, I would recommend you focus on either your morning routine or your nighttime routine. And I know it sounds weird for me to say morning routine because you're like, well, it's the night. That's my problem. But what you do all throughout your day is going to support your sleep. So I would recommend get outside within the first hour of waking up. Like, go get some fresh air, even if it's just 30 seconds. Like, just go outside within an hour of waking. Start your day with a glass of water before you have caffeine. That's another really good one. Those are two simple things to start with. And then with a nighttime routine, you almost need to treat yourself like a toddler. Like, you know how kids have this set routine where they brush their teeth and they have a bedtime story and they have to do all those things or they can't sleep. You kind of need to start creating that own routine for yourself too. It could be, okay, I put my lotion on at night. I take a few deep breaths. I maybe write down a quick thought and then I go to bed. Like, it doesn't have to be that routine, but finding just a few things that you do every single night that can start to train your brain to say, we're calm. This is when we're supposed to sleep, can really help. And I also want to say, I'm saying all of this stuff, it's not going to work in a day. It is going to take some time to really rebalance your stress hormones, but those small things, doing them consistently, can really start to create that balance, which is going to start to shift things for you. And you will start to see those changes in probably a couple months. Like, you can see those changes pretty quickly, but you do need to be consistent with doing those really small things so that your body can start to feel more balanced, more calm, so that your sleep pattern can be normal again. But yeah, the reason it's happening is literally because of the imbalance in your body. And I know it's annoying because I've been there.
Well, I love that you included the morning routine in your tips because I mean it's so true. Like the day natural daylight or natural light just helps us reset our circadian rhythm, number one, and how we end our day actually depends also a lot on what we do throughout the day or even the beginning of the day. And really, I love that you said that it's all these little things. We're looking for that specific hack. We're looking for, oh, it's just the caffeine that's affecting my sleep, or it's just the workout, but it's all the little things. 100%. Like I really agree with that. It might be that you had caffeine 2 hours too late. It might be that you looked at that one email 20 minutes before going to sleep. It might be that you worked out just a little bit too late than what your circadian rhythm actually likes, and you would do much better working out in the morning. Like all these things stack up, and unless we like pick them apart and work on all of them a little bit, on improving them a little bit, I also don't think, like from personal experience, it took all of that, like, yeah, really, really kind of like going at it like a net.
Yeah, and I know that that can maybe sound overwhelming to be like, it really is all of the things, but I recommend people just focus on one of those things at first. Like, I named a bunch of different, like, little habits you can do, but you don't even have to go do all of those habits. Just start with one. Like, just try to get outside first thing in the morning. Start there, do that every day for a couple of weeks, and then start to add the others in. You don't have to do it all at once. In fact, I find like one of my biggest pet peeves in the fitness industry is those like fitness challenges where they have you change everything overnight, where it's like, you're going to start drinking all of this water and doing all of these steps and doing all of these habits and doing all these workouts and diets. Doing all of that is literally stressing out your body more. So it's making the problem worse. So just focusing on one small thing can really like help you start to progress instead of doing a bunch of things that kind of set you back. So focus on one small thing at a time. But yeah, you do need to be focusing on all of those things. It's so interesting. We all want to have things be separate in our mind. We're like, okay, this is my diet. This is my exercise. This is my work. This is my mental health. This is my blah, blah, blah. But it all needs to be aligned with each other for you to feel your best.
Yeah, I really agree with everything that you're saying. And in regards to the bloating, just to go back to the digestive issues, because it is something that I do see quite frequently, and I will agree that also when a person is going through a more stressful time in life versus not, and even though they're eating the same, even that is going to have an impact. But is there anything that you personally did or do with your clients where you're like going through an elimination thing as well, or, you know, some supplements or whatever to potentially help with that or with sleep?
Yeah, so I've definitely myself done different elimination things. I've tried different supplements and things like that. And I've found things that help me. I've found completely different things that help my clients. Everyone's pretty unique in that. But I would say, like, first and foremost, it is the like eating stressed out and being stressed that causes most of those problems. So when your nervous system is dysregulated, you can literally start to create food sensitivities
Mm.
because you're just eating stressed out and your body's not doing what it should be and your body's then upset about things. So I would honestly say that you could do all of the elimination things. You could try every supplement in the world, but honestly, just drink a glass of water before you eat, and that's going to be a really good place to start. Um, but there are so many things that you can do. I also think it's important to pay attention to, for lack of a better word, your poop. So one thing that I recommend people do is like keep a little like vibe check journal by your bed and keep track of how often you're going to the bathroom and like how your anxiety is feeling. And if you're noticing you're not going to the bathroom frequently, then you probably want to work on that constipation before anything else.
Yeah, no, that's such an important topic to talk about. I honestly think we need to be speaking about that more often, not just as coaches, but like people in general. That's an underappreciated area where we can check how we're doing on a daily basis. Really, it is a kind of a report report card of what's going on in there. And yeah, if you're listening to this and you're just going to the bathroom every 2, 3 days or so, that's not great because I mean, it's our waste elimination system. So if you're clogging up the pipes there, then the waste and the toxins, all that are going to pile up, and we don't want that to happen. And I do think that implementing other strategies to help us relax more, like go into a yoga class instead of doing, the workout that you were supposed to do because you had a more stressful day, or go into the sauna or something where we can literally feel our muscles relax as well. Because I know from personal experience, when I'm stressed, I'm like hunched over. I'm like my midsection is tight, and there's no way that my bowels are gonna release whatever is in there because I'm so tight all around. I'm stressed. Like for me, it often stores in my shoulders and my neck, and then that transfers down into my midsection. And so anything for me with warmth usually helps me relax, literally. And
Mhm.
so that's what I say to clients. Maybe sauna is not for you, but maybe you really enjoy, I don't know, taking a warm bath, or maybe you enjoy going to a hot yoga class or so. So are those kind of like strategies that you yourself enjoy as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all cumulative, right? Like finding those swaps that you can make, maybe in your exercise routine. One thing I truly believe is that we should be adjusting our workout routine based on how we're feeling, like day to day and our stress levels. So if you're having a stressful day, maybe not diving into that HIIT workout and instead doing some Pilates or hot yoga or something like that that's going to more align with what your body needs in that day. So that's one thing I definitely advocate for my clients and community to do is adjust with what your body is needing. Also have those small daily habits that you do that just constantly support your nervous system.
Mm.
And then because we're all individual, it's okay, let's like also get to the deep rooted things. Like, why is this stress there? And if it's a bunch of mental stress, okay, maybe we need some talk therapy. Maybe we need like some journaling. Maybe we need to get some of those thoughts out of your brain. But going back to what you said about tight muscles, like literally tight muscles can create stress in your body and can start to create hormonal imbalances because your shoulders are tight every day. So sometimes what a client needs to hear is simply, you're going to do this stretch every day because your neck is really tight, and that's going to start to remove some of the stress in your body. So you really need to figure out, where is that stress coming from? Is it coming from, events and people in your life, or is it coming from something more internal or something that you can possibly control a bit better? And then figuring out how to control that thing so that that stress doesn't become overwhelming. So there are like several approaches that I take with people, and it is, how can we adjust your workouts? How can we adjust your habits? And then also, what's the cause of this, and how can we then fix that?
I think that's so wonderful because I mean, on the one hand, you're giving people some practical takeaways here, but at the same time, just reiterating how important an individualized approach really is. And thirdly, I mean, there's more and more research coming out on the fact that how we perceive stress is a very big part in all of this. It's not just here's a stressor and all the 10 people are going to respond the same to it. It's, as you said, we all have a different tolerance, but also we all have a different dialogue of what's going on in our head. One person might say, whoa, this is so much on my plate. Oh my gosh, how am I going to handle all of this? The other person might think, cool, it's a challenge. Yay. So like, I mean, even though it's the exact same stress for perhaps the same posture or status of person. So yeah, I think that's a really good point. Just thinking about how am I perceiving whatever stressors I'm thrown at.
Yeah. And then also knowing that there are certain stressors that you can't even see. Because I would say the two times in my life that my stress and anxiety were at their worst actually had nothing to do with what my life looked like. Like one circumstance, I had a yeast overgrowth in my gut that was just really stressing out my body. So there could be just hormonal imbalances, bacteria, stuff happening inside of your body that you don't even see that are causing that stress to appear. So that can absolutely be something. And then the other time was just literally the lifestyle that I was living. Like I was go, 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 and that was stressing out my body. Even though I didn't outwardly feel like, oh, this is too much on my plate, my body was saying, this is too much for us. So we need you to slow down. So I think that we all also get used to what our life looks like. Like some people feel stressed and they recognize I'm stressed. But I would say even more what I see is people not even registering that what they're dealing with is stressing out their body because they're just used to it. And so oftentimes when I start talking to a new person or I start working with someone new, I'm asking them like about what maybe symptoms they're experiencing that they don't even realize are aligned with stress because they think, oh, I'm just not losing weight. Yes, my life is busy, but I'm not even registering that I'm stressed. And I'm like, well, now I'm registering that you're stressed. So we need to fix this.
I'm so glad that you're mentioning this because I know there's going to be people listening to this that they're like, I'm actually I feel less stressed right now than I did when I was in my 20s. I was working two jobs and I had this and that, and now I'm actually doing way less. Or I don't feel like this is too much that what I'm doing. So I'm curious, maybe you can share some of these like hidden or the things, the symptoms with us that could be a precursor or an indication that we are dealing with too much stress.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of symptoms that you can look out for. I've actually written an ebook that has a huge symptom checklist in it. So I won't say like all 40 of those, but I will highlight some of the more obscure ones that you may not realize are related to stress. So if you've noticed you've started losing your hair more, that can be related to stress. If you notice you're bruising easily, like if you're waking up with new bruises on your arms and legs and you're not really sure where they came from, that could be a sign that your body is dealing with a stress imbalance. If obviously we talked about sleep, if you're waking up at 3 a.m. every day, that is stress and you need to check that out. And also if you feel like you have a weak immune system, and that could be maybe you feel like you're that friend who's always catching a cold, or you're a teacher who's always coming home with pink eye, or you get chronic UTIs. Like it could look like so many different things, but if you have a weak immune system, it could be stress causing your immune system to be weak. Also, if you feel your heart racing randomly throughout the day, this was a big symptom that I had. Like I could just be relaxing with my best friend and suddenly my heart would start to race like I was going to have a panic attack or I just ran a mile. So if you feel your heart racing randomly, that is a sign that your nervous system is on edge. Also, if you feel jumpy. I remember I was watching this random YouTube video a few days ago and a girl like was just talking. It was like some cooking video and her boyfriend came in and she like jumped. She got really scared and she's like, I'm so jumpy lately. And I wanted to comment like, your nervous system is dysregulated. Because if you're feeling jumpy all of the time, that is a sign that there's just this stress simmering in your body and you may not even be aware of it.
I think that some really good indications, even just the heart rate one that really resonated with me. And I mean, I do think we have to always like think about it. For us women, we go through different phases in our cycle. So, okay, just because at some point your heart was racing doesn't necessarily mean that you are running high on cortisol. But generally speaking, I think that that's a good indication. Even also our temperature regulation or things like that. If we notice that that is a little bit off. Do you personally, like with your clients, do you sometimes use lab work as well to kind of check other hormones that are, of course, connected with cortisol?
Yeah, I've done lab work with some clients, but I will also say that vibe check journal is where this is really great. Like just tracking very specific things. So that you can see if it's aligned with a cycle or if it's not really aligned with anything and you don't know why it's happening, that can really reveal a lot. But there are lots of cortisol tests and hormone tests that you can do that I have definitely helped my clients go through and then helped them navigate it. But I will like always stand firm in nothing is more better than you just tracking how you're feeling every single day. Like that's going to reveal so much because I know I have had frustrating conversations with doctors. Like when my stress hormones were a mess, like I was in my mid 20s. Like I was like, hormones should not be affecting me in this way. Which is why no doctor would really talk to me about my hormones. They're like, you're fine. But being able to track your symptoms in that way and then have someone to talk to where it's like navigating what does this mean and what test could I take to verify that this is what this means can be really helpful. So it is so valuable to just like write down how you're feeling and track a few things every single day. It's going to reveal a lot, but there are a lot of hormone testing that you can do. And I definitely have gone through those labs and stuff with my clients as well.
Well, I love that you're quote unquote old school when it comes to the journaling and stuff because I am too. Like I have in the past used an Aura ring and some of my clients they have a Whoop and like all that data is beautiful. It's nice to see like your temperature and it gives you an indication of your HRV and blah blah blah. But in the end, I think some people get too caught up and hung up on all the data and they forget to listen in and then also draw the correlations to, oh, why was I so stressed out on that day? Oh, wow, that's because I had that fight with my partner in the morning and that lingered with me until the evening, even though I didn't actually think that that was connected. Your aura or your Whoop is not going to tell you that. It might show that you didn't sleep properly that night, but it's not going to be like, oh, that came back to that conversation. So not skipping that step of reflection, but maybe having that on top of your data if you're a data freak, because a lot of people listening to this are gonna, they love their data.
Yeah, and I definitely work with people who are overthinkers, overworkers, and I find that having all of that stuff can sometimes be even more stress inducing. So sometimes it's better to take the numbers and the stats out of it and just really get back into how are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way? And leave it at that. Like, so we can overcomplicate things too much, to a point where it can be detrimental. So yeah, I try to really keep things simple in that way, so that it's not distracting or stress inducing to be looking at all of that other stuff.
Oh yeah, that resonates with me so much. I wore my Aura for like a year and 3 months, and I really did appreciate all the data and just learning about things. But I then got rid of it exactly for that point because I thought it was stressing me out more than anything. I mean, even though I got into the habit of, okay, don't look at your sleep data first thing in the morning or, before your workout so that you're not basing your workout intensity on whatever you're reading and listen in first. But nonetheless, it still stressed me out. Sometimes I was like,
Mhm.
I know I'm sleeping poorly. Don't need to tell me that. Thank you for the reminder. It doesn't actually help me sleep better. So yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying. I kind of want to like circle back to the beginning just to round this off because I want to respect your time. But in regards to the workouts, I know that you mentioned individuality is key, 100%. But nonetheless, if someone's listening and they're like, okay, I know that I might be going a little bit too high in intensity, or the training that I'm doing right now might be adding stress to what I'm doing. Maybe you can give us an example of what a low stress workout looks like for you or for some of your clients. Like what kind, almost everyone listening to this is going to be doing some sort of resistance training. So what kind of like rest times do you advise, or rep ranges or exercises? Any kind of examples might be helpful.
Yeah, so I do have some like hard and fast rules that I give my clients that are, dealing with stress. And one of them is you don't need to work out longer than 30 minutes. So I would have that be a baseline as you go off and figure out what workout you're going to do. It does not need to be longer than 30 minutes. In fact, longer than 45 could just be exposing yourself to more stress than you really need to. So keeping it shorter is good. I also encourage anyone listening to do something called the talk test, where when you're exercising, you should be able to speak in a full sentence before you need to like stop and breathe. You shouldn't be able to talk as easily as we're talking to each other right now because we're not exercising, but you should be able to speak in a full sentence. And if you can't, that means you're pushing your body to a higher intensity than it really needs right now. So specifically, if your stress hormones are imbalanced, if you're dealing with a lot of stress, you want to be able to talk through your workouts. And that can really then be applied to any workout that you're doing. You can just give yourself that test and see how that's feeling. And as far as workout routine, if you are dealing with high levels of stress right now, I would not recommend a cardio heavy routine. And if you are someone who loves cardio, that's not me saying you can never do cardio again. That's just me saying lean away from it right now, and do more moderate intensity strength training, like focus on feeling your muscles. And for this, I know you asked about like resting and reps and weights and stuff like that. And you can really do so many types of resistance training. Like you could go to the gym and lift weights. You could use resistance bands. You could do Pilates. You could do some yoga. You could do just body weight stuff. So there are a lot of ways that you can exercise. With my platform, the workouts that we specifically do, it is aerobic style cardio. It's all at home stuff. So it's aerobic style cardio, just moving your body. We use light weights, like super light weights, high rep, and then we use moderate weights for like 10 to 15 reps. And that's pretty much where we sit. So we're using light weights, medium to heavy weights, and resistance bands. And it is usually high reps with light weights and like that 10 rep, 15 rep range with something more moderate is good. And then if you are like, okay, well then what weight am I supposed to pick up for that? Just a rule of exercise is the last couple of reps, you should feel them. And if you don't, then maybe it's not the right weight.
No, I think that's a really good guideline because I get that question too. Oh, should I be using the tens or the 20s? There is literally no way for you or I to tell someone because we don't know your training history. We don't know, what else you can do or you do throughout the day. So yeah, I think that's a really good guideline. The last couple of reps should feel hard. Otherwise,
Yeah.
challenge yourself. And if that higher weight, you can't complete the amount of reps, then clearly you have your sign, go back down.
Yeah. And I always say like it should feel effective. So a lot of times, especially people who I'm included in this category, have a bit of an ego and want to look strong and want to like be impressive. We will think, oh, I'm just going to go heavier because I think I can, or just like going heavier for the sake of being like, oh, I'm lifting heavier weights and I'm really cool. It should feel effective. So if you're doing like heavier bicep curls just to be like, I'm doing this and it doesn't feel as effective, it's not effective for your muscles. So you should be able to feel your muscles while you are trying to work your muscles. And if you don't, you're either not doing enough and it's way too easy, or you're trying to do way too much and you just need to dial it back. So just having that mindset as you go into your workouts of it should feel effective. I should feel the things I'm supposed to be working. I should be able to talk through this workout. It doesn't need to be more than 30 minutes. Like those are some good rules you can apply to really any exercise style that you enjoy. And that's another thing I recommend people do, like find something that you actually like doing. Otherwise it's going to stress you out more. And then the other like big rule that I have for my clients, especially if they're dealing with high levels of stress, is don't neglect that cool down and chill time at the end of your workout. Like you need to be bringing it down. In fact, I recommend everyone do something called a shavasana at the end of your workout, which is basically just lie down on your back, close your eyes and breathe, and do that for 1 to 3 minutes just to activate that parasympathetic nervous system that's going to help you calm down after your workout before you step back into your day. So no matter what workout you're doing, I definitely recommend you have that come down time so that you can calm your body back down.
Super cool. I love that you include that because a lot of people they do talk about what the exercise routine should consist of, but um they don't mention that. And I think, people think of a cool down in the sense of, oh, I just need to jog slowly or maybe doing some stretching. But a lot of the research I have read shows that there is really not specifically a benefit to stretching. It is more that you are allowing your body time to calm down. It's not that you're jumping right into the car and then going back to go to work or whatever. You're giving your body a little bit of time. And that's exactly the reason why I personally enjoy foam rolling, but not to the extent where I'm like, torturing myself. Just something to do where I focus on my breath. I might put in a little bit of a calmer music than I had throughout my workout. And then just like, okay, this is the end to my workout. I enjoyed this. And now I'm moving in. So that transition times, I love, love, love that you mentioned that. And I think it's Savasana or Shavasana, I think it's literally called like the dead corpse pose or whatever. So you literally just lie there. I love it.
Literally just lie there and try not to fall asleep. I used to teach a bunch of yoga and I definitely had people fall asleep in Shavasana multiple times. But yeah, you really do want your workout to like look like a hill, like start low, slowly build up, then you're high for a bit and then bring it down. Like you do need that build up and that come down time for your body to feel safe in the workout. Otherwise, it just is going to feel overwhelmed. And as I know I've said multiple times, that if your body's overwhelmed, it's not going to do what you want it to do. So if you want the workout to be effective, definitely don't neglect that cool down time. And it can, as you said, it can look like whatever you want it to look like. You could do what I do and do a shavasana. You could foam roll. You could do some light stretching. It can look like whatever, but you do want your body to feel calm after the workout is done.
Wonderful. Well, Molly, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom with us. I'm going to make sure to drop all your handles in the show notes and also link your free ebook, the Conquer Your Cortisol. I'm sure it's going to be super valuable for everybody listening. So truly, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. This was so fun.